Hey viewers, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm showing you the completion of the drop ceiling and in the mechanical room. So we had mentioned it before, but I finally got it installed and it turned out not as good as I hoped, to be honest. It fought me every step of the way. But here's kind of the completed project, and I can kind of walk you through. The cutouts, aren't perfect. Trying to get it cleared, but I've got extra tiles, so if I want to make that better, I certainly can do that. I mainly wanted to show you what it looks like, and we've got the very thin LED lights there for the lighting, and those just clamp around the actual drop tile, with little springs. I wanted to kind of talk about the challenges on this. So first off, I jumped the gun. I started to install this before those water heater vent pipes were done. And so I installed the grid, and then I tried to get the pipes up there, and it wasn't going to work. So I had to pull the grid back down and do the pipes and then redo the grid. The problem with this is this material, these drop ceiling grids, I didn't realize how flimsy they were. And they are flimsy. Incredibly hard to work with, especially these long spans with one person. It fights you every step of the way. My particular kit was missing all of the hardware too, like screws and hangers and stuff, so I had to improvise and make it work because I don't have time to pack all this up and take it back and get a new one, etc. But for this use case, I think the drop ceiling is still the way to go versus a traditional ceiling. Couple things. One, when you're putting these tiles in, most drop ceilings, like in an office or something, you have a lot of space above where you can kind of angle the tile and drop it in. In my case, I don't have a lot of space. I got 7 inches. That proved difficult. So I actually had to trim some of these tiles to get them to fit to where they would clear. So they're not as wide as they were from the factory. So that's one thing to consider is the space requirements above. You might want to leave yourself a good amount of space. I mean, at least a foot. I mean, maybe at least the width of the tile. These are 2-foot tiles, so maybe you want to leave 2 feet of space above if you can. In my case, I didn't have that option. Second, this mechanical room, the width on it is 49.5 inches. And when you're building a drop ceiling with a 2-foot tile system, do some quick math to figure out that is not fun. So I had to improvise, and what I ended up doing was, and of course you can see this was after I put the perimeter grid up, was I basically just left a channel on this outside here and ran a full width there and then a partial width there where I have my other horizontal support kind of terminating on the outside of all these gas lines and all the the PEX lines like that. And then I would have a thin strip that I can fill in, maybe later, maybe never, I don't know. We'll see what I want to do with that. A thin strip to fill in with all of those penetrations. The gas pipes aren't bad, but when you get into this stuff, I honestly don't know what I'd want to do with that, if I want to just leave it as is or not. We'll see. But I've got options to do that. So because of that, I had to kind of hand cut and trim a bunch of stuff. I had to hand cut and notch these other supports here, the shorter supports, because they're designed to go on 2 foot. And so I have less than 2 foot here. So I actually had to cut them and then create my own little notch to fit in the track with the 10 snips to be able to make all this work. So at the end of the day, I'd still recommend it. I still like it. I think it turned out fairly well. There's a few tweaks I can still do, but overall I think it turned out fairly well, and it's better than, my other options were either to have just a normal ceiling and have some pipes exposed on the ceiling, or build out a normal ceiling basically at this height, right? I'd have to build out another frame and basically do the drop ceiling thing, but with normal drywall and everything. And I just didn't want to do that. This was cheaper and easier. I think the black ceiling looks nice with the gray, especially once I get all the painting finalized. and we went with, you know, the black outlets and everything. So kind of black and gray industrial. I think it'll look all right. So that's about it. This mechanical room is definitely a work in progress, but we're getting there. One of the next things is going to be putting the network rack in right there and anchoring that to the ground. But I got a bunch of cleanup to do before that happens. So here is, again, the drop ceiling in the mechanical room. Hope you guys found it useful. I had never done one of these before. I didn't realize how much of a pain in the butt they were. But still kind of cool, kind of worth it, I think. So maybe it'll work for your project. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.